Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to establish, monitor, rollover and exit a basis trade. Before watching this video, we recommend you to watch our Getting Started tutorial to familiarize yourself with the Cryptobasistrade platform. You can find it in the How To section on our website. In this tutorial, we will show you how to establish and monitor an arbitrage position, roll it over, open an active long or an active short exposure, as well as how to exit an arbitrage position. An arbitrage position is established by buying cryptocurrency and selling an equivalent number of futures contracts through our platform. All actual trades take place on connected crypto exchanges. Before establishing a position, certain conditions must be met. First, the user should have sufficient fiat funds, such as US dollars or euro, in their account at one of the supported spot crypto exchanges. Second, the user should also have crypto funds for collateral in their account at one of the supported futures crypto exchanges. Accordingly, we will first deposit fiat funds to our account with a spot crypto exchange. We will then buy some coins at that exchange and deposit them as collateral for trading futures contracts at a futures crypto exchange. After that, we will build up our arbitrage position. We will start by depositing fiat funds. For security reasons, all deposits and withdrawals from crypto exchanges are done by the user outside of the Cryptobasistrade platform. Please refer to the instructions of the relevant exchange on how to deposit and withdraw funds with them. You need to be comfortable with the exchange from a regulatory perspective and want to make sure that you can safely wire the funds in and out of the exchange if needed. As discussed later in this tutorial, once you have established your arbitrage position, you do not need to keep crypto or fiat funds at a spot crypto exchange. Let's head to our portfolio dashboard. Here, the user has already deposited $300,000 at Kraken exchange. Next, let's choose a cryptocurrency for our basis trade. You can use any of the supported coins based on the available spreads, liquidity, your personal preference, or any other considerations. Note that you can maximize your return by investing in a cryptocurrency with the highest futures spread and sufficient liquidity. Generally, futures and spot markets in Bitcoin and Ether tend to be more liquid and better suited for this strategy. We will use Ether in this tutorial. Next, let's purchase some cryptocurrency to be used as collateral for trading futures contracts. Let's buy some Ether for collateral. To do that, start the Trader tool from the New Investment section of the dashboard. This needs to be a one-leg trade. Set the parameters for buying spot coins in Ticker 1 fields. Ticker 2 fields may need to be adjusted, but they are irrelevant for this trade. Since we cannot hedge the initial coins immediately with futures contracts, we will have some price exposure. The value of the coins may decrease if the Ether price goes down. We will hedge this risk later after transferring the coins to the futures exchange. Until then, to mitigate the price risk, the amount of coins we purchase in the first step should be relatively small compared to our overall investment. Let's buy 5 Ether. Press OK. Choose Ticker 1 and Trade mode. And press Trade. The status field shows trade confirmation from the exchange. Return to the dashboard and check that the coins have been added to your balance. You can see that 5 Ether that we just purchased are unhedged. As already mentioned, we will hedge them in the following step. Next, let's transfer the coins to a futures exchange for collateral. You can use any of the supported futures exchanges. When choosing the exchange, consider the liquidity of its futures market for the coin of your choice, as well as futures spreads. We will review the spreads later in this tutorial. You also need to be comfortable with the exchange from a regulatory and solvency perspective. Note that our implementation of the basis trade does not require you to move fiat funds in and out of the futures exchange. Also, You can keep most of your coins in a software or hardware wallet rather than the exchange. In this tutorial, we use Binance for futures. We will transfer 5 Ether from Kraken to Binance Futures Exchange as quickly as possible to minimize price risk on unhedged coins. Once the coins have been deposited in Binance Spot account, they also need to be transferred to Futures Coin Margin account as collateral for trade. As with Spot Crypto Exchange, you need to make all deposits and withdrawals from a futures exchange yourself outside of the platform. We have now made the transfer. You can see in Portfolio Dashboard that the coins are available in our Binance Futures account. The amount of Ether is slightly less due to transfer fees. Next, let's choose a futures contract. Crypto exchanges offer different types of futures contracts. The basis trade strategy implemented on our platform requires the use of futures contracts which are collateralized only by the underlying cryptocurrency. These contracts are known as single collateral or coin margin. For example, to open a position in an Ether future of this type, you would need to deposit Ether and not US dollars, stable coins, or another cryptocurrency. All futures contracts displayed on our platform are coin margin single collateral contracts. Your return on the basis trade will be determined by the spread between the price of the futures contract and the price of the spot cryptocurrency at which you entered your position. You can review current spreads in the new investment section of the dashboard. As you can see, annualized spreads for Ether are currently between 10 and 11%. Note that the spreads displayed here are based on the top of the book prices for spot coins and futures, which may be different from the actual prices at which you can enter your position. You will be able to see the actual price and the actual basis spread in the Trader tool when entering an arbitrage position. Here, we can choose between contracts of different maturity. In annualized terms, the contracts imply a similar return of about 11%. We will choose a shorter dated futures contract if we expect the spreads to increase or remain unchanged within the next couple of months. However, if we are concerned about reinvesting later at a lower rate, when the shorter dated contract needs to be rolled over, we will choose a longer dated contract. Let's go ahead with the June contract. Currently, we have about 5 Ether of collateral in Binance Coin Margin account unhedged. We will hedge these coins now. To hedge the coins, we need to sell the equivalent number of futures contracts. Since we know the exact amount of Ether to hedge, choose Ether and put the amount in the quantity field. We only need to sell futures contracts, so it's a one-leg transaction. Check Ticker 1 parameters and press OK. Choose Ticker 1 mode and trade. We can now close the trader and verify that we have hedged our Ether coins. Here, we see a new short futures position. Note that we have an unhedged amount which is close to zero but not zero. This is expected due to rounding fees charged by crypto exchanges as well as rounding of futures contracts. If you invest a significant amount into the trade, these unhedged differences can accumulate in the process of establishing your arbitrage position. However, you can adjust it as we show later in this tutorial. Next, we will start building up our arbitrage position. Let's launch the trader again. As previously mentioned, an arbitrage position is established by buying cryptocurrency and selling an equivalent number of futures contracts. Earlier in this tutorial, we chose Ether and a corresponding coin margin June futures contract on Binance for our arbitrage. Check the parameters for both legs of the trade. Sell June Ether futures on Binance and buy spot Ether on Kraken. Depending on the size of your investment, you may want to build up your position gradually. The same applies when you roll over or exit your position. For example, if you want to invest into 150 Ether worth of an arbitrage position, it will be more efficient to enter it gradually by trading a smaller amount of Ether at a time. The effective price at which you buy or sell a certain amount of spot coins and futures contracts depends on the order book for such coin or contract at the time of the trade. If the order book is shallow, you will get a significantly worse effective price for a larger order size. Decreasing the order size may help you reduce the difference between your realized price and the best bid or best ask price. The Trader tool uses real-time order books to estimate the average price at which your trade will fill. We will build up our position by trading 10 Ether at a time. Type in the number of coins and press OK. The Trader displays the effective price at which we could buy 10 Ether as well as the effective price at which we could sell an equivalent number of futures contracts. This is the spread which will determine the return on our investment. We will keep the market trade mode for now. You can also use limit trade mode to optimize the spread, as we will show in the next step. Press Trade to place the orders on the exchange immediately. These are market orders and should be filled right away. Once the orders have been filled, we can close the trader and check the balances. As you can see, we have purchased 10 Ether and sold additional futures contracts. The unhedged position is still close to zero. Before moving on to deploy additional capital, we want to make sure that our collateral balance in the margin account at the futures exchange is sufficient for the next trade. Check the liquidation price and the safety margin in the tiles section of the dashboard. Liquidation price is the price at which your futures position will be liquidated. It is determined by the exchange based on the amount of collateral that you have in your futures account, the margin requirements of the exchange, and the nominal value of your futures position. The safety margin shows how far the liquidation price is from the current mark price. As you increase your futures position, your margin requirement will increase as well. This will result in a liquidation price which is closer to the current mark price. When you build up your arbitrage position, you want to make sure that the safety margin is sufficiently large to accommodate the next increase in your futures position. Here, our liquidation price is 48% higher than the current mark price. If our next trade is relatively small, we can expect that it will not result in a safety margin which is too low. Normally, you would not want to have a safety margin of less than 20% at any point during the build-up of your arbitrage position to avoid liquidation on a sudden upswing in crypto prices. If the safety margin is too low, we can increase it by transferring additional coins into our coin margin account on the futures exchange. We will do so after the next trade. We will also discuss how to manage the safety margin on an ongoing basis once the arbitrage position has been established. Next, we will continue to build up our arbitrage position. Let's invest another 10 Ether into the basis trade. This time, we will use limit trade mode to optimize the spread. For example, we can set the limit to 1.8%. The trader will calculate the effective spread and the required number of futures contracts in real time. It will place market orders for both instruments only when the effective spread exceeds the threshold. Let's check that our balances are correct. We have purchased another 10 Ether on Kraken and increased our futures position on Binance. Let's examine the portfolio by cryptocurrency. As you can see here, our Ether position is hedged except for a very small amount due to trading fees and rounding. We can adjust it after we finish building up our position. We still have almost $255,000 to deploy into the strategy. However, before continuing, we need to check the safety margin. It currently stands at 24%. We have now accumulated some spot coins and could transfer them to Binance to increase our collateral and safety margin. As before, we will do so by sending Ether directly from Kraken to Binance outside of the platform. Once the Ether deposit to Binance has been processed and transferred to our coin margin account there, we will come back to the platform and continue deploying our capital into the basis trade. As before, we will do so gradually, 10 Ether at a time. Don't forget to check that you have a sufficient safety margin before each trade and transfer additional collateral from Kraken to Binance if needed. We have now finished building up our arbitrage position. We have purchased almost 165 Ether and sold an equivalent number of futures contracts. Note that we have also approximately 123 Ether in our Kraken account. Obviously, we don't have to keep it on the exchange and can move it to our personal wallet. The total value of our portfolio is around $299,000, which is less than the initial $300,000 due to trading and withdrawal fees charged by the exchanges. There is a small unhedged amount in our arbitrage portfolio. In this case, we have a negative unhedged amount, meaning that our short futures position is somewhat larger than our long spot position. We can adjust it by buying back a few futures contracts. This will be a one-lap trade. Open the trader and choose the right contract in Ticker 1 fields. Set to buy. Ticker 2 fields may need to be adjusted, but they are irrelevant for this trade. Put the amount of unhedged Ether into the quantity field. Set trade mode to Ticker 1 and press trade. As you can see, the unhedged amount has been reduced to almost zero. In this part of the tutorial, we have looked into how to establish an arbitrage position. Next, we will discuss how to monitor your portfolio on an ongoing basis. We have now established our arbitrage position. The basis trade strategy does not require you to trade frequently. You only need to trade to roll over futures contracts when they approach their delivery date, or if you want to exit all or part of your portfolio. You can also trade to create an active long or short position, as we discussed later in this tutorial. After entering the basis trade, you can periodically check the value of your portfolio. You should also monitor the safety margin on your short futures position to avoid liquidation. Let's look at our portfolio by cryptocurrency. We have a long position in approximately 164.8 spot Ether and an equivalent short position in Ether futures. Our portfolio is fully hedged, as can be seen here, and on the portfolio chart. The value of our portfolio is determined by the value of our spot positions. Here, primarily the value of our Ether coins. This in turn depends on the number of Ether that we hold and the current spot Ether price. The Ether price changes constantly. However, because our portfolio is fully hedged, the move in the Ether price is largely compensated for by the change in the number of spot Ether that we hold. This is because in liquid markets, the futures price tends to follow the spot price. If spot Ether price goes down, the future price goes down as well, generating profit on our short futures position. Since we are using coin-margined futures, this profit is in Ether and it increases our balance of spot coins. It works in the same way in the opposite direction. When the Ether price goes up, we have a loss on our futures position and less spot coins as a result. The change in the spot or futures price itself does not affect the value of our arbitrage position. In a fully hedged portfolio like ours, the value of the position depends only on the difference or spread between the spot and the futures price. It is important to note that the spread will always trend to zero as the futures approach their delivery date, although it can be volatile. Sometimes futures spreads decrease significantly long before futures expiry, due to market conditions. In such a case, you may be able to realize your arbitrage profit sooner than expected, or even earn a greater than expected profit if the spread becomes negative. When this happens, you can exit your position to lock in the profit immediately, or roll it over to longer dated futures if their spreads are still attractive. However, this is rare. In a more typical scenario, you have to wait until close to futures expiry to earn your expected arbitrage return. Note that future spreads can also increase after you establish your arbitrage position, leading to a decrease in the value of the position. However, this is only temporary, as the spreads will eventually fall close to zero by the futures delivery date. We can calculate our potential profit for the remaining period by subtracting the current value of the portfolio from the nominal value of the futures position. Here, about $5,500 in 1.9 months. Let's have a look at our portfolio by exchange. For security reasons, we moved 123 Ether from Kraken exchange to our personal wallet. However, we had to keep about 41.6 Ether in our Binance futures account as collateral for our short futures position there. Currently, this gives us a safety margin of 32%. The safety margin will change as the futures price moves closer or further away from the liquidation price. We need to monitor the safety margin and deposit additional coins if needed to maintain it at a comfortable level. The safety margin should be sufficiently large to give us enough time to deposit additional coins and avoid liquidation in the event of a sudden increase in futures prices. Note that depositing spot coins from your arbitrage portfolio into the margin account does not have any impact on your returns for the basis trade. Potentially, we could deposit all of our Ether as collateral to Binance, in which case there will be no risk of liquidation and the safety margin will be infinite. However, for security reasons, we will not keep excessive balances on the exchange. Here, we will target a 30% safety margin and deposit or withdraw spot coins from Binance to maintain it at this level. In this part of the tutorial, we have looked into how to monitor your portfolio. Next, we will demonstrate how to roll over your futures position when the futures contracts approach their delivery date. There are two types of crypto futures contracts: regular term contracts and the so-called perpetual futures. Perpetual futures do not expire. Although you can buy or sell perpetual futures using our platform, they are not suitable for the basis trade. The basis trade strategy requires the use of regular term futures, which have a specific delivery date. Here, our futures contracts expire on the 30th of June in 1.9 months. Let's fast forward and look at our portfolio 3 days before the delivery date. As you can see, the value of our arbitrage position in Ether increased to $304,000, which is close to the futures nominal value. This is because the futures spread has decreased since we established our position almost 2 months ago. Let's check the current spread on our contract. Here, we can see that the spread is currently close to zero. We have now earned almost all of the anticipated profit on this trade. The nominal value of the futures contracts held to expiration limits the maximum value of the arbitrage position. Now we have two options. We can exit the trade completely and convert our position into fiat currencies or stablecoins, or, if we find the current spreads attractive and want to continue the trade, we could roll over our futures into longer-dated contracts. In any case, we do not want our futures to go to delivery, as it will leave our spot position unhedged. Let's roll over our futures position. We will first check the spreads. The spread in the September contract is around 3%, or almost 12% on an annualized basis. We will choose this contract. Let's go back to the Ether tile and press the rollover button. Choose the September contract from the drop-down menu. Check this side of the trade, buy back June contracts from our short position, and sell the September contracts to replace June contract. We will trade into our new futures position gradually to get a better effective price on each trade. Normally, the order book for Ether futures on Binance is relatively deep, so we can trade $20,000 worth of futures contracts at a time without going too far from best bid and best ask prices. Note that the quantity entered here is always for ticker 1. The trader will calculate the required quantity for ticker 2 based on real-time exchange order books. Also note that different futures contracts may have different nominal value depending on contract specifications set by the exchange. Here, you can check the nominal value for a given number of contracts. For example, one quarterly coin-margined Ether future on Binance has a nominal value of $10. As a result, we need to enter 2,000 contracts to get to a nominal value of $20,000. Let's press OK. and check the effective spread. If that's acceptable, we will trade as usual using either a market or limit trade mode. Close the trader and check the balances. We have reduced our June position by 2,000 contracts and increased our September position by 2,059 contracts. Our overall arbitrage position remains hedged. At this stage, we can ignore the small unhedged amount. Now, we will continue to roll over our June futures to September futures by 2,000 contracts at a time, checking our balances after each trade. Here, we have final 2,441 June contracts remaining. Let's roll them over and finish the process. We have completed the rollover. We no longer have any position in June futures, which have been fully replaced by September futures. There is a small unhedged amount due to trading fees and rounding, which can be removed similar to how we did it in part 2 of this tutorial when finalizing the build-up of the arbitrage position. Since the unhedged amount is negative, we have too many short futures. As a result, we need to buy back a few futures contracts. The trader can calculate the number of contracts to buy automatically if we provide the unhedged Ether amount into the quantity field. Don't forget to check the ticker 1 option as it's a one-leg trade. Now, our Ether portfolio is fully hedged. The nominal value of the futures position is $313,000. The current value of the portfolio is slightly lower than before the rollover due to exchange fees for trading June and September contracts. Our expected profit on the basis trade in 3 months is the difference between these two numbers, which is around $9,000. In this part of the tutorial, we have discussed rolling over futures position. Next, we will look into how to create an active price exposure in your arbitrage portfolio. In this part of the tutorial, we will discuss how you can modify your arbitrage portfolio to gain price exposure on the underlying cryptocurrency. Our current portfolio is fully hedged. It is a 100% market-neutral position, meaning that its value does not depend on the direction of crypto prices. It only depends on the spread between futures and spot price. If all you want to do is to earn arbitrage profit from a basis trade, this is what your portfolio should look like. It should be 100% market neutral at all times. However, some users may also want to be able to open up their arbitrage portfolio for a certain positive or negative exposure to crypto prices because they expect the prices to rise or to fall. This is equivalent to taking a long or a short bet on the underlying cryptocurrency. Our arbitrage portfolio allows us to do that without buying or selling any extra coins. For example, we currently have about 152 Ether in our arbitrage portfolio with no directional price exposure. Let's say we expect Ether price to rise in the near term and want to go long 15 Ether to earn profit from price appreciation. To do that, we need to unhedge 15 Ether by buying back an equivalent number of futures contracts. Let's open the trader from the Ether tile. This will be a one-leg trade since we are trading only one type of contract. Check the parameters for ticker 1. Buy September contracts. You need to choose a different contract for ticker 2, although it has no impact on the trade. Change quantity to Ether and set the amount to trade. As usual, press OK, choose ticker 1 mode, and trade. You can see in the portfolio dashboard that we have an unhedged position worth about 15 Ether. The actual amount is slightly less due to trading fees. This unhedged amount represents an active long position in about 15 Ether coins. The chart here shows that this long position constitutes approximately 10% of our entire portfolio. The value of our portfolio will change, reflecting gains or losses on the active position. We can cover the active position at any time by removing the unhedged amount. Let's do that. We need to sell futures contracts equivalent to our unhedged position. Here, you can see that our portfolio is again market neutral. You can also create an active short position by selling additional futures contracts equivalent to your intended position. For example, if we wanted to bet on the Ether price to fall and size our trade to 15 Ether, we would sell the equivalent number of futures contracts. The ability to open up all or part of your arbitrage portfolio to directional price exposure gives you the flexibility to pursue different strategies. For example, the basis trade could be the default state of your portfolio, where you earn a stable arbitrage return. This could be your only strategy. However, at any point, if you want to, you have the ability to take a more active approach. In this part of the tutorial, we have discussed how to open up your arbitrage portfolio for directional price exposure. Next, we will look into how to exit your arbitrage position altogether. In this part of the tutorial, we will demonstrate how to exit the basis trade. You can stop the basis trade at any time by exiting your arbitrage position. There are other ways to terminate the basis trade. For example, if we wanted to keep our spot coins, we could close out the short futures position only, creating an active long position as discussed in part 4 of this tutorial. However, here we will completely divest our portfolio, converting it into US dollars. Let's go back to our portfolio at the end of June, when the futures contracts were approaching their expiry date. In part 3 of the tutorial, we have rolled over our expiring futures position. This time, we will exit it instead. Note that you can exit your position at any time. However, exiting it close to futures expiry date or whenever the futures spread has declined compared to your entry spread would allow you to realize arbitrage profit. To prepare for divestment, we need to move our Ether from the personal wallet to spot crypto exchange. We don't move our coins from the futures exchange yet, as we still need collateral for our outstanding futures position. As always, we transfer coins ourselves outside of the platform. We have now made the transfer. To exit our arbitrage portfolio completely, we need to buy back all of our outstanding short futures contracts and sell all of our spot coins for supported fiat currencies or stable coins. Since we want to keep our portfolio hedged during the exit process, we will need to buy back futures and sell our spot coins simultaneously for an equivalent amount. To improve the effective price at which we close our spot and futures position, we will be doing this gradually by trading a smaller amount at a time. The whole exit process is similar to establishing an arbitrage position, only in reverse. Let's buy back 2,000 contracts and sell an equivalent amount of spot Ether. Press the exit button to launch the trader tool. Check the parameters. Buy June contracts and sell spot coins for US dollars. Enter the number of contracts and check the nominal value. Make sure that it's a 2-leg trade. As usual, you can try to optimize the trade by setting a limit or trade immediately. Here, you can see that we reduced our futures position by 2,000 contracts and sold some spot Ether. Both legs of the trade were equivalent since the portfolio is still fully hedged. We will continue to exit 2,000 contracts at a time until we have around $20,000 worth of Ether in our Kraken spot account. Here, we have 10.5 Ether left on Kraken exchange, worth about $21,000. Let's exit that as well. This time, set the amount in Ether. Now, we have sold our remaining coins on the spot exchange and bought back an equivalent number of futures contracts. We still have coins left on the futures exchange. Note that since we have significantly reduced our futures position, we can move most of these coins to spot crypto exchange for selling. However, we still need to keep some coins on Binance Futures Exchange for collateral. Conservatively, we want to maintain a safety margin of at least 20% to avoid liquidation until we exit our futures position completely. Transferring 30 Ether out of the remaining 36 coins would allow us to achieve that. There's a practical way to check the impact of withdrawing a specific number of coins on the safety margin. Normally, to withdraw crypto from a futures exchange, you need to transfer it from your futures account to your spot account on that exchange. Once you do the transfer, you can check what the new safety margin is. If it's too low, you can adjust it by transferring some coins back to the futures account. Note that the platform will not show coins which have been withdrawn from a connected exchange but have not yet been deposited to another connected exchange or a personal wallet. Also, if only futures exchange is supported, depositing or transferring crypto to a spot account on that exchange will not be reflected in your balances on the platform. As a result, the platform may show a lower value for your portfolio while the coins are still in transit. We have now received the transfer of 30 Ether in our Kraken account. Now, we will continue to close our futures position by 2,000 contracts at a time and sell the equivalent Ether coins as we did before. Once we have less than $20,000 worth of Ether in our Kraken account, we will switch to Ether in the quantity field and trade the whole balance. We have now sold all of our coins on Kraken. Our futures position on Binance has been reduced by an equivalent amount. Our remaining portfolio is still fully hedged. We will now close out all of our futures contracts. This will be a single leg trade. Check the parameters. Buy June contracts. Put the remaining balance of contracts into the quantity field. OK. Ticker 1 mode. And trade. We no longer hold any position in futures contracts. You can see here that our remaining portfolio is unhedged. Now, we need to transfer all of our coins in the futures account to the spot exchange for sale. This needs to be done quickly since our remaining coins are unhedged and subject to price risk. We have now made the transfer. Let's sell the coins. This will be a single leg trade. Open the trader tool. Remember that the parameters for a single leg trade are always set in Ticker 1 fields. Choose Kraken Spot, Ether US dollars, sell, and set the quantity in Ether. We have now exited our arbitrage portfolio. We no longer have any Ether and do not hold any futures positions. The realized value is around $303,000. Note that our return on the basis trade was somewhat lower than the anticipated 11% on an annualized basis. This is due to exchange fees, which we incurred when establishing and exiting our arbitrage position. Normally, exchange fees for trading futures contracts are significantly lower than for trading spot coins. As a result, holding an arbitrage position for a longer period of time and rolling it over rather than exiting the position reduces the impact of fees on the overall arbitrage return. This concludes our tutorial on how to establish, monitor, roll over, and exit a basis trade using the Cryptobasistrade platform. For additional information and tutorials, make sure to visit our website's How To section. Thank you for watching.